Hello, this is David Baumblatt from Terabant Leadership. Welcome to the program. Today, we're going to be talking about the race issue, and we've talked about it many times before, but this issue, we're going to be focusing on MAGA's version of the race issue. And what you'll find is that unbeknownst to many MAGA is not nationalism. It's probably, I guess you would say, the most nationalist party that I could think of in my lifetime, and that's good. I think that's what attracts a lot of us. But the topic of race, MAGA will dance around. They don't like to, again, race is not real, race doesn't matter. You've heard this before. That's just not nationalism, and it won't work. So that's today's topic. Before we go into that, though, we'll just do just one quick news we'll do that's pretty interesting, but I'll put the big picture on it. So the bottom line up front is Congressman Massey has blocked me on X. No big deal what is, but there's a key leadership to this. And this is not so much about Massey, believe it or not. This is with the other politicians, but he is the first active politician that I am aware of to block me. And I think I might know the reason. But let me first explain this to the people, and I don't think they get it. But then again, to the American people, I think a lot of them also know that this system's going down. So what do you do? Meaning you're starting to see more corruption in front of your faces in America. And then what do? I think most Americans don't know what to do. You know, it's like you're on the Titanic and you know the ship is going to be sinking. There's only few people that could get off to a life raft. The captain of the ship, Donald Trump, gets his private helicopter in to take him and his family out. And I think a lot of Americans would say, David, I agree with you, but what am I going to do? If America goes down, it goes down, whatever. And I get that because it's going to get worse for a lot of people. And I think a lot of people, there's not really going to be a great solution for. So let me make this very simple. The first thing is, when the United States government, think of the police, are investigating for some type of corruption, and we're just going to use the word corruption as another form of illegal contact. So you're a criminal. They believe they have evidence, or they have evidence on you of a crime. They arrest you for some type of illegal activity, which we'll just say corruption for the sake of it. You have the right to remain silent. That is your constitutional right to remain silent. The police and the FBI, which is wrong, and they're legally not supposed to do that, but they in many times will assume guilt. That shouldn't be. Your right to remain silent is your right to remain silent. That is not an admission of guilt. It's just to protect your privacy. That's it. On the flip side, when a U.S. citizen alleges government corruption, this would be illegal activity, unconstitutional activity on the government, and the government decides to remain silent, that's called a cover-up. That's calling cover-up. They don't have that. You are a private citizen. You don't make your money from taxpayers. You don't make your money from the government. You are a private citizen. You have a right to remain silent. Our government, and I get none of this is going to make sense or mean anything. Like I said, nothing's going to change until guns and ammo come into the picture. I have no doubt. Once guns and ammo come into the picture, it works. But anyway, let's at least play along. Your government officials, where your tax money is paying them, you elected them. I know some of these people are like, I don't even like these people, but you have no choice because this is the illusion of democracy. But anyway, your tax money puts them in. They are not private individuals. They are public servants, all the way down from the FBI to the policemen to our politicians. And they swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution and to abide by the duties of their office. One of their duties is if there is an allegation of government corruption, they have to investigate. Now, that doesn't mean these allegations are substantiated. Maybe I'm lying. Maybe I'm making it up. We get that. It has to be investigated, and there's a communication. When the government remains silent, that's an admission of guilt. It's called a cover-up, people. When a U.S. citizen, a private U.S. citizen, wants to remain private, that's not an admission of guilt. So what do I mean by this story? Well, these politicians know about me. Usually what happens, and I have emails and documentation, when I write these politicians, which is normal, one of their assistants, in fact, if you saw on my X, One of them is Congressman Derek Van Oden. The only reason I focus on him is he's a Navy SEAL. Trust me, anyone knows me. I don't have high regards for these special operations folks, CIA, FBI. Most of them are yo-yos. The best and the brightest are not working in our government. But it's always good to put them on notice because the Navy SEALs, they're courageous, they're this. And again, this is a Congressman Van Oden. He knows about me. His assistant wrote me back. So usually the playbook is their assistant, because their assistants don't know anything about these rituals or rules. So they get an email from me and they say, yeah, sure, this is so-and-so, my name Ashton, and I'll forward it to the congressman. Once they do, the congressman sees it and they say, end all contact. Because they've probably talked to the FBI, and this is where the deep state is. The FBI will say, shut it down, have no contact with them, we're handling it. Remember, we didn't elect the FBI. This is where the deep state is. And the FBI is giving orders to our politicians who you elected, and our politicians are following the orders from the FBI. So that's why there's radio silence across the board. It's unheard of. It's unheard of that it could be this much silent, meaning it's a cover-up. But, and I said this, and this happened with Danny Bongino, when he went from a government employee, deputy director of the FBI, back to being a civilian. I said, you watch these congressmen and senators, once they don't get reelected or they retire and they have a private X account, they're going to block me. Why? Because they don't want anything to do with me. So the question is, why didn't they block you on their official account? Well, then it shows evidence that if you block someone, you probably know about me and you're blocking. And again, they have a duty. So Congressman Macy is the first one to do it. So the question is why? Well, let me show you a little bit. It's not a big deal, but I'm trying to open up to the picture. Again, I don't think any of this stuff matters. Like I said, guns and ammo are going to come and fix it. Until then, this is sort of like soap opera. It's like children. You're dealing, which is interesting because out of all the politicians, lack of a better word, it's not like I have much of a social media, but I defended Massey. I mean, he got railroaded with APEC, and I have to admit, Thomas Massey would be a politician that I would definitely think more positive. So don't even think that I'm negative on Thomas Massey, because I'll give an example of it. But anyway, here we go. So, he blocks me, whatever. This is what I said. It's very strange when U.S. politicians block someone, boom, 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 this and that. I'm just surprised. So there he blocks me. But anyway, this is something also a little background here, and that is this. Hopefully everyone could see it. Remember Thomas Massey for Congress? They blocked me too. So let me explain this. Again, this could be deals. No one cares anymore. This system's going down. So Thomas Massey blocked me very recently. But before he blocked me, that Thomas Massey for Congress, which is whatever, they blocked me months and months ago. Why did they block me? Again, I have no clue. So they blocked me months and months ago. And I've said nothing but positive things about Thomas Massey. I would probably say he's probably the better part of MAGA, or maybe he's splitting MAGA. But Thomas Massey blocked me early. I think part of the reason why Massey might be different than other politicians, why they blocked me, is, let's face it, he lost the election. He's not going back in office, at least recently he won't. And that email, or not that email, but the X account, it's probably going to get dissolved. So he's probably a little different than senators or congressmen, because he's like, I lost, I'm not getting reelected, I don't really care anymore. This X account is going to go bye-bye soon. So screw him. Now, why did he do that? I don't know, because like I said, I definitely consider myself, I believe myself, I'm more pro-Massey than I'm pro-Trump. Not like I'm pro-Trump anymore, but I'm not pro-government anyway. But it is what it is, people. So we have on record the first politician to block me. I am a little disappointed it would be Thomas Massey, because like I said, out of all the politicians, I'd probably put a little bit more faith in Thomas Massey. There's probably a backstory there. But I also think, like I said, the reason why he just went out and blocked me is he lost the election, and who cares? Because like I said, once these other politicians, eventually they don't run for office or they lose. Like I'm telling you, Nancy Mace is a whore. Take it or leave it. It's going to happen. I guess she's going to lose her election. She's not going to get reelected. Once she goes on her private account, she is going to block me. I have no doubt about it. She doesn't want to block me on her official account because, again, it shows, one, they know about me, and two, it shows dereliction of duty. So I think Thomas Massie says, screw it, I lost. But considering he's got 1.7 million followers on X to reach out and block me, there's obviously a backstory, whatever. I mean, like I said, part of me, I'm interested in this, I'm telling you, but part of it, the bigger picture of America, this is small cheese, meaning this system's not going to work, people. I mean, you could just see it. So if you're smart enough, you've probably already read the tea leaves that this country is getting worse. But you may say, David, I agree with you, it's going to collapse, but what can I do? I got a mortgage, I got 4 kids, I'm living a crappy job, and you're right. It's going to get bad. And that's why I say, if you don't know anything what to do, probably reach for your Bible and reach for your gun, and then try to build your own little family. Meaning there's always something you can do. If you can't change the country, change the state. If you can't change the state, change the county, change the city, change the town, or maybe change your family, meaning make it better. Build a brother or maybe your next door neighbor. So we all know there's always something you can do. But I do think a lot of Americans could say, dude, I know exactly what you're talking about. What do you want me to do? I already know it's corrupt. Well, this is another thing. Like I said, I don't pay taxes. So hopefully that's out. A little disappointed in Massie. Not like I still believe he's going to be the savior. Again, the best is yet to come, but it is what it is. Let's go and give a clip it of what MAGA nationalism when it comes to race is. And these people actually think they are, I guess you could say, the tip of the spear of nationalism. They're far from it. Again, when the question of race comes in, I tell you, MAGA gets pretty weak. Not impressive at all. So anyway, here's the program.
We celebrate everyone's culture. We're happy.
1 second, my bad. Let me remove this. Let me bring this here. Okay, here we go.
As you are an American, I don't really care where you come from, but if you come to this great country, you have to understand you're coming here to.
Notice he says, I don't care where you come from. I mean, I care a little bit. I mean, I think it's an important question. Where do you come from? If you're, we'll dissect it because there are 2 main clips, this and Charlie Kirk. But, if your daughter brought home a soon-to-be husband or your son soon-to-be wife, wouldn't you care where she comes from? So immigrants. So anyway, it gets worse. It gets real worse. But that's the start. I don't care where you come from. Sounds like a corporation. I don't care who you are as long as you can make money. Okay, let's keep going with this. I don't even know who this guy is, but he's obviously a MAGA spokesperson. Wouldn't want this guy to be part of the team.
Be an American.
Not quite sure what an American is anymore. Good luck in defining that, MAGA. Good luck. Try to define that to the MAGA people. What is the definition of an American? Try to get objective too. Try not to get so subjective. Good luck. Try to define it.
We celebrate everyone's culture. We're happy with that. As long.
Do we celebrate? I got to do this. And I'm focusing on, there's other clips, but I think this, and again, I don't know who this guy is, but he's some type of MAGA spokesman. But we celebrate everyone's culture. I guess so, but I'd say some are more important than others. Wouldn't the European culture be front and center? I mean, do I celebrate the Chinese culture? Yeah, I'd probably say I do. There's nothing wrong with it. But I'd probably say European culture would probably be first and center. Unless we don't want to be a European country anymore. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what we want. We're going to be this globalist toilet bowl. Maybe that's the culture.
As you are an American, celebrate your culture. I don't care.
Again, we're saying American. What exactly is an American? Try to speak objectively.
Italian, Polish,
Watch, he stumbles. Italian, Polish, European, and then he's like, because he knows he's about to speak retard. Get ready, he's going to speak retarded here.
Somali.
Why did he do that? Why did he say Somali? Because he's like, that ain't European. The Somali is African. Notice how he said that? Would he have to say that if he said British or Germany? Polish, Italian, German. No. But he even said, you could tell, I mean, this is FBI 101 body language. I mean, you see this stuff. So he's like Polish and Italian. Why did he pick Polish and Italian? Why didn't he start out with Chinese and Indian? You know, maybe the Democrats would do that. Like I said, I'm not into this Democrat Republican thing. I think they both suck. But he was like, you could tell him, he's like Polish, Italian, European. And then he's like Somali, which I'm sure he's thinking in his mind. Some people in the audience are like, are you fucking in your mind? No Somali. But he's like, come on, man, we're MAGA. Hey, Ponce, good evening from EU. So he's like, Somali. Like, he even knows it. He even knows, he's like, wow, this is kind of retarded. I don't have a problem with the Somalis. I don't have a problem with Islam. I've said this. But there's a home for everyone. This ain't their home. That's why. America. And if you don't think America is a European country, well, our founding fathers would disagree with you. And then what is it then? What are we, 90% European and 10% African? I mean, I could play with you on this. We could go, but let's have a debate. But notice he's like, Somali, like he's getting ready to be booed, like, boo, like he knows it. What are you talking about? Somalis. So we're going to get a Somali president. So 90% of our population are Somali. We think that's a good idea. Like even he knows, he's like, oh, this is going to sound really retarded, but this is the line for MAGA. I've got to say this. And Somali and Chinese and Indian and Arabs and right? People are like, get this guy off the fucking stage. Who is this guy? Let this go. This is MAGA too. These are supposedly, I guess, far right. This is MAGA. You know, this is the far right party of America. These are the nationalists. Okay, we'll see how this goes.
Okay, but they don't assimilate. And if they don't assimilate, then they should.
My question is, why don't they assimilate? Why can't a man assimilate to be a woman? Why can't a woman assimilate to a man? They could try. I've seen that in the military. I've seen women try to simulate to be men because the military is very masculine. You can try. I mean, meaning there are steps. But at the end of the day, they ultimately fail. It's like feminism. Feminism's goal is to make second-rate men. Again, I have assimilated in some ways to be Chinese. It's not my goal, but I do. I wanted to study Chinese. I wanted to learn a culture. I wanted to learn a language. And I have assimilated more than a foreigner. But at the end of the day, the Chinese will never accept me for Chinese. And I'm never going to accept myself for Chinese. I ain't Chinese. So he's like, but they never assimilate. Why? Women can never become men. Men can never become women. I think MAGA would agree on that. They get hard on gender. Maybe they can't assimilate because Somalis are African. And maybe America is a European country. If it's not, then we have to have a debate. What exactly is America? And again, if you can get in this debate with America and Canada and Australia because they're immigrants, then let's talk about Europe then. You know, why can't they become a German, a French, a British? Well, maybe French, German, and British are European. We're talking racially. So now we have a Somali saying, like, meaning if you think there's leg room to say, well, America, it is the land of immigrants. Okay, well, then look at Europe. You got a Somali saying, I'm Swedish. Okay, well, then I'm Chinese. You ask yourself, I'm Chinese. The Chinese won't accept me for Chinese, and you won't either. So this guy walks around, he goes, they don't assimilate. And you hear the same stupid thing. They got to learn English. Dude, I speak Chinese. Learning the language definitely helps. I get it. But there's something more to that. Maybe it's race. Why cannot we talk about this subject that race is real? Again, if these were Democrats, you know what, then it makes sense. They're all liberal. They all hate white men. We get this is not just the Republicans. This is MAGA talking. Let them continue. Let's get this lesson out.
Should go the hell back to where they came from.
Yeah, now he's strong. He's like, look at this tough guy.
Guess what? There is nothing racist about calling out a criminal. So when I say that it's time. It's time. I mean, this is what they do in the great state of Minnesota. You know, our culture, that Scandinavian culture.
Okay, here we go. I think he's talking out of his asshole. I mean, this is where I like Donald Trump. Donald Trump did move the needle. If you think that needle is not going to continue to move to where today's MAGA party are going to look liberal compared to the new Nationalist Party, you're right. The great state of Minnesota, where we're Scandinavians. Well, if you're going to have a Scandinavian culture, you probably need Scandinavian people. Even me, I know a lot about Chinese. Could I make a Chinese culture? I mean, maybe it'd be difficult. I try, but eventually, I don't know. I like white culture the best. So again, the great state of Minnesota, Scandinavian culture, that means you need Scandinavian people. And are Scandinavian people like Somali, Swedish people, or I don't know who else, Syrian, Danish people? You probably need Scandinavian people. And who are Scandinavian people? European. You shouldn't even have to say white European. It's European. So if you remove Scandinavian people, these would be Europeans from Minnesota, I don't think it's going to have a Scandinavian culture anymore. Why are we so afraid or ignorant to talk about this? Pons says about Somalia, civil war still on. Yeah, and like I said, I don't have a problem with Somalia. I don't have a problem with Somalia people, but there's a place for everyone. And Somalis are African. Now, if other countries want to accept them, China's not going to accept them, I'll tell you that. Whatever, it's there. But at the end of the day, Europe and Western countries, it's home to the Western man. And who's the Western man? European. Like I said, I shouldn't even have to say white European, Europeans. That's where our grandfathers are, or meaning our forefathers. So, I get it. And because I don't want to sound like a bully, like, yeah, Somali's a shithole. No, I bet you there's great things in Somalia, but it's not my country. Best of luck to them. And I really mean that. Best of luck to them. But America's not your home. Europe is not your home. Why? Because Europe and America is home to the European man. Why is this so hard? This is MAGA. Why is this so hard to talk about? If not, let's have an educated debate. And if I'm wrong, I will admit I'm wrong. I don't argue in China when they say China is the home to the Chinese man. You don't hear any arguments from me. And trust me, if you do argue, you're going to get deported from that country. Here we go.
By the way, I better make it clear before I go any farther. Minnesotans, are there any here? Good. Then let me just say. Okay, well, born, yeah, you're wearing that hat. You must be from northern Minnesota, the Iron Range. No. Probably closer to Iowa. No, I'm going to leave that alone. The reason I bring it up is because I tell people regularly, Minnesota did not create passive-aggressive behavior, but we did perfect it, okay? And I happen to be more on the aggressive side, which doesn't always work in Minnesota, as Ralph will tell you. Sometimes Minnesotans are so afraid that you're going to call us a racist, you're going to call us an Islamophobe, you're going to call us some name that we just don't want to get into that fight. You know what? I would argue that I never did care, but I'm done being careful, even the least bit careful.
Hell yeah, man. He's done. He's done with this. I don't know. Like I said, he still sounds like a cuck to me. And I'd be happy to have a polite debate with him. But one, race is real. And two, America is a European country. If you're a patriotic person in America, you'll respect our founding fathers. Our founding fathers, all white men from Europe, they would never allow this to be. So whatever. Like I said, I think this is never going to be solved until eventually whites are going to truly become a minority in America and they're going to wake up. That's what happened to me. I'm living in China. It really woke me up. I'm like, oh my God. So let's talk about the race issue. And we're going to talk about a couple things with this guy. I forgot, Moran. This is about the race issue. Let's go talk about this really quick.
Bro, if we're walking down the street, we see five and this whole thing of like calling people racist or whatever, it's like so gay. Because it's like, bro, everybody is inherently racist to a degree, bro. If we're walking down the street, we see five in Nike tracksuits. Bro, we're all across the street, bro. Like all of us. None of us going to go there, let me test it out because I believe in civil liberty. Fuck that.
Right.
Bro, we're across the street, bro. Fuck that, man.
Right,
You know,
right.
they get mad when people say like, "Oh, I don't want to live around black people." Bro, nobody wants to live around black people. Even me, us.
Right, right,
Like,
yeah,
yo,
right.
the black flight is real, man. Nobody wants to be around these man.
Yeah.
Come on. It's like we just sit here and deny the truth. Like, oh, look at you, you hate yourself. I mean, I just don't want to die.
You know what's crazy? Me and Kevin figured out when it was like 10, 11 years old because we kept having horrible experiences with black kids on the black side of town. I didn't even want to go to the black side.
Yeah.
I said, man, because a kid pulled a gun on us.
Yeah, I remember my
was
black
10.
friend.
I get more racism from blacks than anybody else.
Oh, most
Yeah.
definitely. I think black people are way more racist.
Way
than
more,
white.
bro. And like they'll sit there, right? Like I love it because like, you know, people like us, right? Because like we're more on the right wing and you know, we're around the white people more. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, look at these guys. These guys are cons. The whites don't even like them. They hate them, blah, blah, blah. Bro,
Yeah.
you might get one retard on Twitter that calls us or whatever,
Right,
right?
right, That's an
But
anomaly.
that's an anomaly, bro.
Yeah.
It's like I get more love from white nationalists. They
Yeah.
rock with me more and show me more support and respect than these. They'll sit there and take one off. Look, see, he called you an Anarcha. Oh, look, he said that you're a bookie over here. All right, bro, that's like 1 out of 1,000.
Yeah.
It's-
So there's another clip. I believe this guy's Myron, and very successful on his own right. I think he's also was a former law enforcement officer, federal level. Anyway, we're going to go to another clip. The first thing, though, is the truth is everybody's racist. There's levels. Who is the least racist people in the world? White men. Least. Nobody treats women, racial minorities, and immigrants better. And I don't want to sound like I'm such an expert. I didn't know this until I went to China. The Chinese could quite possibly be some of the most racist people in the world. Nothing wrong with it. But it recalibrates your view of racism as a white person when you live in these countries. Oh, by the way, the Jews are very racist people. So this whole thing about topic, like, I get it. Like you said, everyone's racist, but the white man, we're the least racist. End of story. But there's a clip when he talks about, hey, every now and then a white nationalist says this. I'm going to show you this clip. I'm going to show how I'm going to respond to it. There's logic in both ways, but we're going to show you this clip. Again, this is about this person, Myron.
Jews, but if we can I make this interesting? Can I make this interesting real quick? Myron, you were in MySpace the other day, and I said, you're doing a great job calling it these Jews, but if we take this country back, we want it for white folks. And would you go home? And you said I was born here and I'm not going anywhere. And this is where I think the problem is with working with non-whites is that once you think you help us, that you're just going to stay in our country. Do you still stand with that answer?
Bro, you look, man, I know you're trying to get a clippable moment here for your
No, it's the truth,
thing or
man. This
whatever.
is the
Like, I
issue
love
with
how-
whites
I love
working
how
with
we're here talking
non-whites.
about a problem. We're over here talking about a problem, then you bring it right back into, this whole white thing. Like, dude, shut the fuck up.
This
All
whole
you do
white
is
thing is
bitch.
what built this
Shut up.
country, Myron.
Shut the fuck up, dude.
Hey, you
Like,
fucking
literally
sand. You
all
sand.
do
Hey,
is
let's
try to
see,
sit here
guys.
and be
I am in
racist.
Florida.
Hey, bro, that nigga hit him with the sand N-word. It ain't funny. The way he feels is like, obviously, that's the obvious thing. Y'all sit here and are lapdogs for these white men, but ultimately, if they get what they really want, you are not a part of it.
Well
You're a
then,
weirdo.
why are you in? Why do you Browns think
Shut
you
up.
could stay in my country?
Look
Why?
at the fucking guy. Look,
No,
look,
it's the
look,
truth,
boots me out of
Myron.
his
I'm doing just
fucking
fine.
chat.
I'm doing just fine,
Boots me
bud.
out of his thing because obviously he's like,
Because you're
oh,
not
well,
white.
I'm not gonna go ahead and debate you. I'm just gonna boot you out of my fucking.
Because you're
thing
not
'cause I'm a
white.
fucking. What does that have to do with anything, dude? I'm not fucking talking to you right now.
Because
This
you're in my
conversation has
country
nothing
right
to do
now.
with you.
You're in
This
my
has
country
nothing
right
to do
now.
with you.
You're an
This has
invader.
nothing to do with you.
You hate the Jews, but at
Dude,
the
you're
same
fucking
time, you are a
Mexican.
Jewish
Shut up.
bioweapon.
You're a fucking
You are a Jewish
Mexican. You're
bioweapon,
not even
Myron.
white. Shut up.
Yes, I
You're a
am. My
fucking
DNA test is
Mexican.
out there, Myron.
I'm loving every moment of this.
So that's a good argument too. Meaning what's going on. And I've also said about the Jews, and we'll talk about it, but let's talk about the Jew thing and the black thing, because what is this thing called white nationalism? And I don't even like to call myself a white national. I like to call myself an ethno-nationalism. Why? Because that's basically what's going around everywhere in the world except the West. Ethno-nationalism. I mean, I don't mind other countries having their own ethno-states. It's natural. It's the natural order. So one is we'll go to the Jews and we'll get to blacks, but it pertains to almost everyone. And then, as I've said many times, if you're Jewish, you will be welcomed in the West. Now, it's not like me. I'm not a spokesperson. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think generally, one, you're going to have to admit three things. First thing, you're going to have to admit that this is a Christian-first country. I would probably make Christianity the only legally authorized, official, protected religion in the West. That doesn't mean you can't. Even me growing up, I studied Chinese philosophy. I think studying Islam, I think it's really important to learn these other religions. It's better than being the typical globalist, consumerist, atheist in America. But all these other religions are not going to be legally protected. There's no funds from the government, no tax credit, nothing. Christianity, though, will be legally protected and you will not be allowed to be discriminated. So you have to admit this will be a Christian first country. One. Two, you're going to have to admit that this country belongs to the white man. If you're Native American, I don't want to change the subject. I've said this many times. I don't mind America splitting and Native Americans eventually get their own space. It gets a little complicated, but just go with me. But you're going to have to admit this country belongs to the white man. And this would be the same in Europe, that the white man runs the country. The white man rules. This is a white population. And three, you're going to have to be okay with freedom of speech. And if they want to say stuff about Adolf Hitler, the Holocaust, it is what it is. So that's the Jewish thing. What about the blacks? Well, to Myron, I would say this. Myron, you're going to have to admit, similar, that this country, I think Myron is Muslim. There's nothing wrong being a Muslim. I don't have any problem with Islam, but Islam will not be officially recognized in the West. But you can still practice Islam. And Myron, you will not be allowed to discriminate against Christians. There are legal protections. Can Christians or whatever discriminate against Islam? Probably so. I mean, it's in the private sector. It's not like we would, it's not like I believe we have an intention to do it, but it's not a legally protected religion. There's only one religion that's legally protected, Christianity. Number two, Myron, you, similar like me, I'm in China. And when the Chinese look at me and said, hey, foreigner, and trust me, the white people, there is no people on earth that treat people better than white people. We treat people phenomenal. I know this. But to the Chinese, I don't screw with them. They say, hey, 老外，百样规则，这个中国属于中国人，不是老外. And what do I say? This country belongs to the China. I say, no arguments from me. And so, but you could still be like, now again, I'm not the spokesman for white nationalism, but do I believe the country has to be 100% white? No. I do believe on citizenship, though. You have to protect the citizenship. But can there be non-whites who live in the country, just like me in China, but I have no Chinese citizenship? Can we have? I don't know. I do think 1 to 5%, it could be diversity is our strength. I think 10% is the most. But I don't mind non-whites being in there, but they may not be citizens. And they have to agree that this country belongs to the white man. The leaders of this country are white men. I don't know where Myron comes from. He sounds like maybe West Africa, South Africa, something like, or not South Africa, but another African country. So I'd say, Myron, that is where you come from. So you have your choice. You could go home or you could live in America, and I think we'll treat you fine. But you may not have citizen status, and you might not have the legal rights of leadership, but you're probably going to be treated very well, and that's how it is. But no, this country belongs to the white man. And Myron, and I think he would agree with this, I think he's got thick skin, that if someone wants to call you a sand nigger, it's a very impolite word, and I think we'd all agree that it's a word you shouldn't say, but freedom of speech is freedom of speech. And if Myron said I could do that, and that's what I'm saying. I live in China. I don't push this white identity in China. So in European countries and America, I don't want you to push your African identity, your Asian identity, even the Jewish identity. There are Jews who assimilate. Why? And people could argue, they're like, hey, you Jews aren't European. I don't know. Then where are we from? Karzai? Well, I guess let's do that. So that's a good question. But I do think a lot of Jews, if they didn't, this would be the Ashkenazi Jews. If they didn't tell you you're Jewish, I doubt you're going to know. They're not going to know. But they better assimilate. They have to also say, I am pro-white. I am pro-Christianity. I'm pro-free speech. But so to the Myron thing, I get it. But I would just say that as long as he would agree that this will be a majority white country run by white men, he could literally have a good life. There are white people living in non-Western countries as a minority, many times not as a citizen, and they can live a good life. I mean, there's examples of Thailand, of Japan, there's so many examples in Asia where the white guy is not a citizen, he has no legal rights, but he gets treated good there. He gets treated. Guess what? That could be a solution to the people. Or what do I think in America? I think America has gotten so diverse that to avoid a bloody civil war, white people are going to have to give up land in America. Maybe the blacks are going to have a state here, there, and there. If you're a white person that says, hell no, I ain't giving anything, 100% all 50 states of America belong to white people. I'm not going to argue with you, but you're going to use guns and violence. You're going to have to kill these people because what are you going to do with them? So something's going to happen. But a nonviolent like me, I could care less. Just let the state split. But whatever that white identity country needs to be, if you are not white and you're living there, I think you could have a home there. But you have to make sure you know that the white man rules. Just like in China, the China man rules. And this goes everywhere. The Indian man rules, the Japanese man rules. And you're going to be an ethnic minority, and you're going to stay an ethnic minority. But I think a lot of people, why would they do it? Because most people love white people. They're like, hell yeah, I don't mind if I don't have a citizenship. Like you'll have like a permanent residency. I don't want to go into it, but it is an interesting question that needs to be answered. A guy like Myron. But let's go into a couple things here and just talk. As we're on the subject of black people, here's another person. I forgot her name. This is let me bring her up quick.
One way because I'm black,
So Candace Owens, since we're on the topic of race, I think Candace Owens is pretty smart. I think she's doing a lot of great reporting from Charlie Kirk. That whole thing is something's very weird about the wife assassination. She's also talking about Jews in Israel. I like her. Now, though, you're always going to have disagreements. She married a white man and has white kids. Okay, nothing illegal about that, and that's hers. What do I think about it? I'm not going to be an advocate for her. And usually as a black woman getting a white man, she hit the lotto. She knows it. But this is that sense of there's freedom. Let them do that. But just like they have their freedom to marry who they want and have mixed kids, well, I have freedom of speech, and we all judge. Just like she will judge me, I will judge her and say, no, I'm not an advocate of interracial marriages. But either way, but that doesn't mean I can't respect Candace Owens. I think she's a very sharp person. But here we come with her, what she says.
Are you hot or cold, do you feel like?
no, I am. I only run one way because I'm black. So
I was gonna ask because you're pregnant. Are you hot or cold? But
I'm a woman and I'm black, so I naturally like the heat.
oh, so black women prefer to be warmer?
Yeah, of course. No, well, we like the heat. Like our natural habitat is warm.
Oh, that's
And
a
I'm-
good point.
yeah,
huh?
And again, this is not to slam Candace Owens. I mean, she's much more successful than me. But notice she admits race is real and gender is real. No arguments from me on that. Well, guess what? What are interracial kids? Whatever kids are, I'm not into it. But she is. But race is real. She's like, I'm a black woman. You're right. And she probably should, according to my philosophy, marry a black man. She would probably say, go screw yourself, David. I'm going to do what I want, and I'm going to marry a white man. That's fine. But we all know in our society in the West, part of culture is also part of communication. We don't have free speech anymore in America. But if we can have free speech, just like people in America have the freedom to have interracial couples, interracial children, Americans should have the free speech to launch their opinions. And the opinions are, we're not interested in mixed kids. And that will influence and manage our culture. If we cannot have free speech, we're going to lose our culture. So sure, she has the freedom to have mixed kids. And I, in a normal society, should have the freedom to say, not an advocate of that stuff. In fact, let's go to another episode.
I got the wrong name. I got the wrong. Look, I know I'm not supposed to run for office. I get it. I got the wrong name. I got the wrong color of skin. I pray the wrong way. My family comes from the wrong place in the world. I get all of that. But I also am not going to come here and tell you what you cannot have and should not fight for. Because election after election after election, we are told that these seats are too important, that we've got to play not to lose, only to get representatives who functionally do the same thing that the other side would do with those same exact seats. And Gaylord, I want to tell you something. You know, I hear a lot, well, how's he going to win? When they say I can't win because of my name, they're not indicting me. I've been a guy named Abdul in Michigan for the better part of my whole life. There is nobody better at being an Abdul in Michigan. You know who they're indicting? You. They think that you are not big-hearted or open-minded enough. They think that Michiganders are too close-minded to invest their stake in democracy in a politician because they got a funny name. That's what they're saying. And one of the things I can tell you as an Abdul in Michigan is that Michiganders are big-hearted and they're open-minded. The Michiganders don't care as much about your name. They care whether or not you care to know their name. They don't care as much about how you pray. They care whether or not you are willing to pray for them. They want to know what you pray for, and that we all kind of pray for the same things if we pray at all.
So he said, we'll just say he's an Arab. I don't know his background. He's an Arab in America running. And you know something, I may agree with, I don't know much about him, but we're just going to, let's play devil's advocate. And we're going to say his policies I agree with. Well, he talks about open-mindedness. I have 4 master's degrees, speak 3 different languages, worked in many different fields, lived in many different countries. I'm very open-minded. I have a lot of information that I've gathered. And guess what I would say? At the end, and this is where they use this logic on, it's sort of like the Jedi mind trick, because there's a lot of weak-minded white people, and their biggest fear in the world is to be called a racist, because they've never lived as a racial minority in their life, and they don't realize how racist non-whites are. I would simply say, Abdul, is this. Abdul, I do not want a non-European man to be the leader of a European country. End of story. Abdul, where are you originally from? Let's play the game eventually as family. I was born here, sure. Where are you from? I don't know. Egypt. Okay. How many, I don't know if that's the truth or not, but it's probably somewhere in the Middle East. We'll just say Egypt. Okay, Abdul. In the country of Egypt, how much racial diversity do you have? And you will be amazed that the racial diversity is nothing compared to America. Abdul, me as a white guy, can I go to Egypt and become a citizen? Yes or no? Abdul, in Egypt, can I run for office? You know exactly where my logic is going. You have nowhere to go in these non-white. They will never accept you. So Abdul, you want to bring your culture in here, your race, everything, and I've learned from you, just like I've learned from the Chinese. This would never be accepted in your home country. Then it's not going to be accepted in the West. I want a white man to be the leader of a white country. America's not a white country. Again, let's not even talk about America. Let's just start with Europe. Europe is not a white country. So I guess Europe is not European anymore. Well, there we go. We know why that's going to crumble. But if America is not a European country, then what is it? It definitely was our founding fathers. So it's that. Just for the same reason, the Chinese would not even, just like Abdul, have you ever been to China? Yeah. Look at how the Chinese treat Arabs versus the good thing I like in Asia is I am a white guy. They treat white people the best. So if you don't like how white people are treated, you go to these other countries. But I would just do that. And I don't know. I think Abdul, maybe there's a lot of policies I would agree with him on. But at the end of the day, Abdul, race is real because I am one of the most open-minded That's why I like to learn. It's very much in me. I like to learn. And what if I learn? There's nothing you can do about it. Gender is real. It's as real as day, and so is race. And so for that, I don't want a non-European man to be the leader of a European country. For the same reason in Egypt, they're not going to let a white man be the leader there. If so, then you tell me how many citizens are in Egypt percentage-wise that are white people. Just not going to do it. But you could do it. There's a lot of white people in America. They're very ignorant and they're very afraid. This is the weak white man. And it's like one of their fears is being called a racist. Leave America. Go to non-Western countries. It'll change your mind. We're going to do 2 quick clips. I think the last clip will be good because it's about Charlie Kirk. This clip, I'm going to defend Donald Trump. It's pretty interesting. And why? This woman is Chinese. This is kind of my creme de la creme as a China expert. I'm going to critique her because I think a lot of these dumb liberals, but also MAGA would say this too. Remember, it doesn't matter where you came from. As long as you work hard, you pay your taxes, which the content, they always like to quote Martin Luther King. I mean, I'm not saying Martin Luther King is a bad guy. J. Edgar Hoover would have other thoughts about Martin Luther King. But Martin Luther King is not exactly my role model. You know, I'm sure I'm not saying anybody's good, but he's not. But white people always like, well, Martin Luther King said this. Well, I like to use George Washington. You know, you use Martin Luther King for a lot of your quotes. I'll use George Washington. But, and I'm not going to argue with that. I do believe a person's content of their heart, their character is very, very important. But all I'm saying is race is real. Let's go to this.
Growing up, my dad came to the U.S. as a student with just $67, or as Frankie might say, 67. My mom holding a small suitcase in one hand and a toddler, me, with the other. Yet they built a new life, a successful business, and a real future. Our Chinese restaurant was the first in my town.
Let me just add some lib right here. So, you know, she's a Chinese woman who immigrated to America. Now, remember, regarding Chinese women, or you could say Asian women, I also have a lot of experience in other Asian countries, but mostly in China. But the dream of the typical Asian woman is a white passport. Think of England, Canada, America, Australia, unless these countries don't become white anymore, but a white passport, a white man, and white mixed kids. Now, I never said all Asian women, just 99.99%. That's her dream. So to Asian women in Asia, this woman hit the lotto. She got to America, meaning she got her white passport. I believe, if I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong, but I believe her husband's a white guy and she's got mixed kids, which I don't consider those kids white. They're Asian kids, but for her, they're as white as can be. So she hit the lotto. Is she? And this is where I agree with Donald Trump, or at least we're reading into his body language. He's like, send this fucking gook back to Asia. Not going to argue with him because I can tell you something. Remember I said before, Asian women in the West despise guys like me. People would say, I gave this video before. You would think they like me. I've learned their culture. They don't. Why? Because their attitudes, mostly, they act as if they're white. What they get away with in the West is only because of cuck, ignorant white men. I would never. Because once you're in Asia, you understand the place. And the first thing I've said is she hit the lotto. White passport, white man, white kids, she hit the lotto. Is she grateful? I don't think she's that grateful. This is where I agree with Donald Trump. He's like, who's this woman? Tell me. Deport this woman back to Asia. Wouldn't disagree with him at all. Let's keep going.
Of those 5,500 residents, the Chinese American population of Buchanan was 3. My mom, my dad, and me. Growing up there was not always easy.
Here's the victim card. In Chinese, they would say Tao Pai. The Chinese even know this. She plays the victim card because of racism. I'm telling you, the racism in China compared to America is night and day. Now she's going to do the Tao Pai. Oh, it was so difficult for me as an Asian. Then get the fuck out and go back to Gookland, my little Xiaojie. She hit the lotto. This is these Asians I don't like, but they're only allowed to get away with that because of the cuck white man. I think Donald Trump, this is like I said, there are things I still agree with Donald Trump. Let's keep playing this.
Folks had never laid eyes on people who looked like my family. But far more often than not, the community was welcoming and generous. Turns out deer meat is great in a stir fry. In Mandarin, the word for America is 美国. It literally means beautiful country, and I love that.
She's correct on that. It's a beautiful name. This is where the Chinese people have given a very beautiful, 美国, guo means country, and mei means beautiful.
America the Beautiful was never only about her landscapes or landmarks. It has always been about the promise that no matter where you come from.
Here comes the bullshit story. Let's go. If you're going to be a proud American, you should be patriotic, and you should be patriotic to our founding fathers. Our founding fathers, the American dream was consolidated, isolated, and divisional to white European people. George Washington never had a dream. He's like, In the future, this American dream will be for Africans and Asians and Arabs. No, it's not. This American dream has become diverted, diluted, changed. So where she comes up with this, the American dream has always been for anyone in the entire world to come here. That's where the globalist corporations came in there to make money. So no, I disagree with her, because I could tell you something. If the American dream is for everyone, the Chinese dream is for the Chinese. You are not even going to become a citizen in China. That shows a very difference. And this is not a gig on China. I think, trust me, there are many Chinese people too that would look at a woman like this and say, Tashmika Shabi, this woman needs to go. Meaning this sort of complaining, and meaning they know that she's in a very lucky position. For her to complain or do insults to white people, look at me. Nobody forced me to come to China. If I don't like China, then leave, which I tried. That's where the American government took away my visa to get to Singapore. Thanks, American government. But at the end of the day, no one forced me to come to China. If I don't like it, then leave. But I would say the same to her. Anyway, let's keep going.
You get a shot at chasing your dreams. My dreams began right there in that family restaurant. A small TV in the back was often turned to the news, my dad's go-to for learning more English. In the middle of dinner service, it was the CBS Evening News anchored by Dan Rather and Connie Chung. I was hooked. In middle school, I won a contest to be a student reporter for a national news show called Channel One. And when a local news crew came to cover it, they learned just how big my dreams really were.
So her dreams came true, and don't fool yourself. White passport, white man, white kids. Is she grateful? I don't know. You might think so. I don't think so. I like I said many times, this is where I just don't think white Americans are going to learn, because I didn't know this either. China has radically changed me. And so I've said this too. If they are, and this is not just about Chinese, this would be about almost all non-Western countries. They might come here and say, I'm against communism, or I love America and I'm going to be hardworking. Maybe, but I still would not give them citizenship. And I believe Trump, this is a good thing. He's doing his best at least to try to abolish birthright citizenship. He's on the right track on that. It's going to happen sooner or later, because once the white population truly becomes a minority, it's not going to work. But a lot of people are like, no, we just don't want those bad Chinese communists, but we love these good capitalist Chinese. Oh yeah, like you could tell them apart. That's simple. Good luck on that. So I'm not against, look at me, I'm in China. I'm not against foreigners immigrating to other countries. Would I give them citizenship? Well, the Chinese ain't going to give you citizenship unless you are ethnically Chinese, like a Chinese American. What do I think about that? Pretty smart. It's their country. And who did I learn that from? The Chinese. So what would I say? I would not give these people citizenship. But you could say you're hardworking, you follow American values. Could you live in America as a non-American citizen with zero path towards citizenship for you and your family, regardless if they're born in America? I think I could buy that for $1. I can. I think that sort of diversity could be a strength, but not in this one. This one I agree with Donald Trump. Now let's go to the heavy hitter, Charlie Kirk. Again, I know it sounds, especially MAGA. MAGA holds Charlie Kirk on a pedestal, which makes me realize Charlie Kirk was more of a political influencer than probably more of a biblical teacher. And I could say many good stuff about him. I don't know him that well, but here's a clip on Charlie Kirk. Oh, me and him are not on the same sheet of music at all. Here we come.
Charlie responded to an act. Now, if he's a racist, he's a really bad one. This is how Charlie responded to an actual racist.
I want to ask a question of you. What does it mean to be an American? Is it an idea or?
Well, Charlie, I'd like to ask you that question. What does it mean to be an American? If you ask me, what does it mean to be an American? That would be Christian first, European, and freedom loving. Now, there could be other parts of it, but this is where I came up with the book. I tried to think my best definition of what an American is. You are Christian first. Maybe not a devout Christian. I mean, there's a lot about Christianity I don't know, but I fully support Christianity, and I fully support that Christianity be the legally recognized Christian first religion in America and the West. 2, European. that means you're white. And if you're not white, you also are totally in favor of it being a white country led by white men. And also freedom. Let's stick with freedom of speech. So if you want to say very impolite words about racial or even about Adolf Hitler, it is what it is. So that would be my best definition. Christian first, European first, and freedom of speech first. What's your definition, Charlie? But I could tell you this other person comes up with a definition. Charlie doesn't like this definition. Interesting. Let's keep going.
A history, a shared history, or is it a skin color?
Well, I mean, you could go back to the.
Oh, geez. When I hear people saying skin color, I think let's go to gender. The only thing difference between a man and woman is a vagina and a penis. Would you agree with that? Is a man's got a penis and a woman's got a vagina. You think that's the only difference of what makes a man and a woman a woman? I'd probably say there's a lot more into gender than just a penis or a vagina. But with no doubt, I mean, we're starting out biologically correct, but there's a lot more to being a man, testosterone versus estrogen, this and that. So race, that's all we are, skin color. I say it all the time. Have you ever been to Japan? Some of these people look pretty white to me. How can you tell us apart? Maybe race goes all the way down to DNA, meaning it's even deeper than skin color. But you hear people like, oh, it's the big deal. It's just skin color. So as soon as I hear that, I'm like I said, I view Charlie Kirk more as a political influencer than religion. But like I said, let's keep going and see what he says. But I guess that's what Charlie Kirk's version of race is. It's just skin color. That's it. Okay, Charlie. Well, Charlie, I have to tell you that the entire non-Western world would disagree with you. And when white people wake up, they're also going to disagree with you. Here we go. Let's keep going.
The original founding fathers.
Ding, ding, ding. This person, founding fathers. Pretty interesting.
The Immigration Act of, I believe it was.
What does it mean to be an American? Is it a skin color or something?
Here we go. Charlie, if you notice this, again, Human Intelligence 101, and we get it. Charlie's getting a little bit agitated. He comes back with skin color again, which is a connotation that once you say race, it shows, look how superficial you are. That's all you see, black and white, really? So the word skin color has come up twice now. Like all of a sudden, Charlie is getting defensive because he knows what's going to come out. He wants to defend, and he's already putting his opponent on the defensive, saying, that's how you look at people, purely as skin color. Don't you know Martin Luther King? I guess the role model for MAGA, not mine. Again, I don't have a problem with Martin Luther King. I just, whatever. I like I said, I put George Washington as my role model. But again, skin color. Don't you think it should be the content of our character? Which is another MAGA way to say, how much fucking money can you make America? Because we're all corporations. If you can make money, you're in. If you suck and you can't make money, then get the fuck out. That's all the MAGA is. That's how corporations are. Can you make us money? I don't give a shit if you're a pedophile. Come on in. You can't make money? I could care less if you're a Christian. Go starve on the streets and fucking die. So it seems like that. So that seems to be there's an economic principle with MAGA, with these Republicans, with these corporations, of who's welcome to be an American, who's not. Disagree with me? What is Donald Trump doing? Selling citizenship with his Trump card? What is you pay $1 million? So that seems to be something. Who's an American? Maybe who's economically prosperous is welcome. And if you're not, you're not. Well, gee, that sounds more superficial, especially from a Christian, than skin color. Well, if you got money, you're an American. Am I making hypothesis? Am I coming to too quick of assumptions? Let's continue the video.
Else. The original founding fathers, they intended this to be a European nation for white men.
Notice the audience is cheering now. They're like, hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Let's see how Charlie Kirk is. So far, the man speaking, don't have much argument for him. I would probably say I would agree with him. Let's say, because Charlie Kirk's a major, I mean, this guy is a MAGA superstar. So it's easy to say, and I get it, the assassination, or we're not quite sure what happened. At least I'm not quite sure what happened on that thing. But we could say very positive things about him. There's no doubt about it. But I still look at him as a political operative than someone who's preaching about the Bible. let's continue with this story. So it sounds like the person in the audience has now doubled down twice on founding fathers. Okay, let's keep going.
Of good stock and character.
Can you show me, let me answer the question. Can you show me where in the United States Constitution it says that?
Okay, so now Charlie Kirk is like, I want to see it in the Constitution. I'll give an answer later for that, but let's go. But it is a reasonable question. Where does it say in the Constitution?
It wasn't in the Constitution.
It wasn't in the Constitution because they didn't believe it.
I found it.
What does
So now Charlie Kirk is like, those founding fathers didn't believe in it. We're going to get back to that one, but let's keep going.
the phrase e pluribus unum mean? What does the phrase e pluribus unum?
Oh, geez, get ready. Remember what I said. Globalism, communism, and feminism, but we'll keep it. Globalism and communism are the same. E pluribus uno, all into one, all, everyone, around the whole world. Let's keep going on that.
Unum mean?
Why is that relevant?
Because it was on every founding document and presidential seal from our founding, which means out of many, one.
We are one. We are one world order. We are one globalist country. Everyone is one. Everyone comes here. Sounds a lot like globalism and communism to me. We'll keep going.
Sir, and your ideology is not.
So Charlie Kirk now is definitely, he's getting flustered. This is an important issue. It's almost where this is pre-programmed for him to really go on the attack. Any type of white national, we'll finish the video, any type of white national, it feels like we've got to stomp this in the bud. Wonder where this is coming from, this this attack toward white national. Where is this coming from? Is it coming from Charlie Kirk himself? Is that in the Bible? Is this is a Bible preaching? Because what the man is talking about, this is a white nation that belongs to white people. We could call it white national, and that's fine. So Charlie Kirk's on the attack on that. Was this from his own doing? Was this instructed? Where is this reverence for the attack against white nationalism? Let's keep going.
Not conservative. It is right wing.
Now he just said this is not conservative. This is right wing. I guess so. Right wing. That's fine. So right wing isn't conservative. I'm not. You know, we talk about. Remember what I said? It's like, hi, I'm a MAGA woman, and I'm conservative, and I'm also your politician. So conservative women are leaders. Like these definitions of right wing, conservative, they're very fluid. So he's just saying that's not conservative. That's right wing. That's fine. And then I guess I'm right wing then. Guess I'm not conservative. I mean, let's have we don't know what an American is. We don't know what conservative is. We don't know what right wing is. So we're probably going to have to do a little class on these definitions. But let's continue.
Identitarian has no place in the conservative.
Oh my God. I've said many times, if you're a parent, good luck raising your child and you tell the child identity does not matter. Then what's an American? And it always seems to be the only identity that seems to be a major problem is race. Like you could have other, because he's speaking on MAGA. He's like, so Charlie Kirk now is battling. You've heard this before too with Republicans. Identity politics has no place. What are they focusing on identity though? Because you can have an identity as a Christian, but I don't think that's the problem. Meaning Charlie Kirk would say, I'm a proud Christian. And perhaps, I haven't followed him that much. And living in China, I'm not following, but he'd probably say MAGA is Christian or America should be Christian. So being a Christian is an identity. But I don't think that would be the problem. I think Charlie Kirk would say, absolutely. You identify yourself as a Christian, as a conservative. I also think Charlie Kirk would probably say gender. You know, Charlie, is it okay that I identify as a man? He'd say, of course. Because I think there was some. But why is it with race you can't? There's interesting. And anyone knows that you're reading my mind on why that issue is. But it just seems so identity politics, which is found all throughout the non-Western world, by the way. And also the Jews, this is not a gig on them. The Jews are very proud of their Jewish identity. Why is it, though, These aren't Democrats talking. This is Charlie Kirk. You could say in some ways the future leader of the MAGA party, maybe future president of America. So identity politics is wrong. But we do identify ourselves, many with MAGA, with stuff that MAGA likes. Like, I'm a Christian. Great. Is gender okay? Absolutely. I don't know, identify myself as a capitalist. But that one thing that's not tolerated is race. Why is that? It's an interesting thing. Because if we don't tolerate identity politics, then I guess we're not even going to have an identity. Good luck with that. Raise a kid, you have no identity, right? I guess we can't even say. So we know that's an absurd argument. Don't have an identity. You have to have an identity. But then what is this? Don't do identity politics. Well, don't do this. But it always seems to be that one key variable, race. Why? Everywhere throughout the non-Western world, to include Israel, race is a key component to your identity. Key. I cannot emphasize that much in China, how so key it is. And I just said identity politics in America is okay with the non-racial thing. There's nothing wrong with MAGA if you say, I want you to know I identify as a Christian and I want to elect someone who's a Christian. I think MAGA would say absolutely, or identify as a man or this or that. But that race, because Charlie comes back and says this is basically what Charlie's saying. There's no such thing as race. It's just the color of your skin. As soon as someone says that, they've lost me. Why? They're living in a fantasy world. For the same reason, if someone said there's no such thing as gender, there's no such thing as gender. What would you do with a person like that? This guy's mentally retarded. The same thing that someone would say there's no such thing as race. Because I'm telling you, once you leave the Western world, race is as evident as can be, to include Israel. So white people live in your own fantasy world, but I'm telling you, as America becomes less and less white, these non-whites, they identify as race. And what do I think? It's as real as gender. Let's go. I think there's another part about him. We'll keep going on it. But you can tell Charlie Kirk is definitely getting animated. He's getting riled up.
Conservative movement, my friend. Get out of line. Get out of line.
So the whole part about get out of line, I think you can extrapolate that as not just get out of line, get out of our party. And what do I keep saying? You've not seen anything yet. You have not seen anything yet. If you think MAGA are nationalists, you have not. So that sense of get out of line is like get out of our party. You're not conservative. You know what this sounds a little similar like? A guy like Donald Trump, and I credit him this. He went in there when he first ran for president. He looked at the Republicans in name only, and he said, these people, whatever, are losers. They're not conservatives. And Donald Trump, and you give credit for him, he created a new party called MAGA. And MAGA was basically sometimes more toward the right, even though now they seem to be doing the same globalist agenda as the Democrats. But at least nominally on paper, they went more to the right. Guess what? You think that's over? You're going to see a new nationalist movement, and they're going to look at MAGA people as liberals. But you notice that. I would say this to Charlie Kirk. I'd say, Charlie, are you a patriot? Of course, he'd say yes. Who would you describe as the preeminent leader and patriot of America? Our forefathers. Who would you say? And I'd probably lead him into probably what he would agree with and say George Washington, right? Wouldn't you could say the founding fathers, the first general, the first president, or the commanding general, the first president. So I would say this, if we're confused with this question, so again, there was a debate. The person in the audience says this country belongs to white people. Charlie says you're crazy. That's not in the Constitution, this and this and this. So there's an argument. So do you believe the person in the audience or do you believe Charlie Kirk? Well, Charlie Kirk is definitely a very elevated person. He is the spokesman for MAGA. So the default opinion would go to Charlie Kirk. I'm just postulating a stimulating question. That is, if George Washington was alive today, what would George Washington say? What would he say? Again, even though the military is overrated, no one thanks military veterans. I get it. It's a joke, but he was our general. He won the war. He gave us our independence. He was our first president. Don't you think his word matters maybe even more than Charlie Kirk? What would he say? And maybe I'm wrong. I think he would say, this country, he goes, we, meaning his men, his generals, the founding fathers fought to create a free country for free white men. I would say that. Now, if you say you disagree, he wouldn't say it, perhaps. Or you might say, I think he'd say it, but I think he's wrong, and I think George Washington's a racist. Okay, we'll see. But like I said, I still think if you go around the world, white men, George Washington included, especially during that time, were still the least racist people in the world. So that's Charlie Kirk. So what I want to do is just end it here. We talked about it, and I keep saying this. I don't know what this whole thing with Thomas Massey blocking me on there, because like I said, I would put him at a higher level than Donald Trump. Not like I believe he's going to save the world. Why did he block me, this and that? Like I said, you are going to see more politicians, once they leave office on their personal account, they will block me. And it just showed they know about me. They know about me. So what is this trying to do to the American people? This government doesn't serve you. We know that. They know about my situation. They don't care. Their mission is to get reelected. If you help them get reelected, they will help you. If you're a donor that's donated hundreds of thousands of dollars, yes, they will help you. If not, their mission is to get reelected, and that's it. We get that. But the issue now is about race. You know something? As I've gotten older in life, I don't really like the debate as much. You're looking at a guy who left America in 2010. I'm just not into this stuff. But the point being is if you don't understand this concept of race, then let's see where it goes. But even with Donald Trump being in office now twice, the white population continues to go down. You may think it's not a big deal. You may think it's good. Let's see where this goes. I have a feeling that if you're a white person and you don't get what I'm saying, sooner or later, if things don't change, you will become a racial minority. And then come talk to me then. And maybe you'd say, this is just dandy. We'll see. I doubt it. Until then, David Baumblatt from Terebinth Leadership. I appreciate your support. To the Patriots, lead to victory.